Modular homes are inspected differently than a typical site-built home, and that's primarily because so much of the home is built off-site. This presents multiple challenges, so it's good to have a basic understanding of how this should work and how it's done at the factory. So first of all, modular homes have to go through a third-party review process. Your factory had to get with a third-party engineering firm like PFS, NTA, Radco, and they had their system approvals done and they were presented to the state. Then the state approved that factory to do the construction in the off-site environment. Now that third-party company is usually engaged by the factory to do the inspections. So if PFS, for example, is the third party that approved the systems for the factory, PFS is now responsible to review each plan for each home that the factory is going to do and inspect it to make sure that that plan then is that the house is in compliance with the plan that they approved. That plan that they approved is taken to the local inspector to be combined with plans for work that's going to be done on site. That could include the foundation, decks, porches, anything that had to be done on site. That's all presented to the local building inspector or the review department, and they're going to give you your building permit. Now when delivery happens and the house is set on the foundation by the set crew, there's going to be inspections that happen by the local inspector. He's technically only allowed to inspect work that's done on site. So what that means is if there was electrical done at the factory, he can't inspect that, but he can inspect the connections that were in fact done by your electrical contractor on site. Framing inspections, framing, insulation, wiring, that's all been done at the factory. Your local inspector isn't allowed to do what's called a destructive inspection to see if the factory did it in compliance with the plan that they were provided. Anything that's under the stamp of the plan that was provided is inspected at the factory, and that's the way it's supposed to be. A good idea is for you to get working with your local inspector early on in the process. Many inspectors still aren't familiar with modular construction, and it's best to invite them to do a factory visit, to review the plans with you, to understand the process, to call their state board. It's usually called industrialized housing. It may be part of the manufactured housing board, but get the factory to work with, or get the building inspector to start working with the factory or those other inspectors so they're very familiar with what to expect when the house is delivered. Inspectors who aren't educated are going to cause delays for you, and you don't want that to happen. So again, just remember the local inspector can only inspect things that were completed on site, not items that were done at the factory.